Heather Chapman is a high performance coach and the owner and creative director of Own It Empire. She assists people to become the best versions of themselves and live their best lives through holistic wellness and business coaching with her Own It Mastermind program and one-on-one VIP coaching. Heather has over 15 years experience studying human potential and performance and a decade of coaching individuals and assisting them to get clear on their goals and make them a reality. Heather has a bachelor's in human kinetics with honors. She's a certified nutritional practitioner with a diploma in applied nutrition. Heather owns multiple businesses and is co-author in 2 of Amazon's best-selling books, Dear Love and Fitness to Freedom, which was a bestseller in women's health. Heather believes it is essential that you treat the body as a whole, mind, body, and soul. She can assist you to step into your power, identifying your true passion and purpose and what you are truly here to do. Welcome, Heather. Really glad that you're here today.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. How are you, Ashley?
I'm good, thanks. You're quite the busy lady. You always have a lot on the go, so many projects, so many services that you offer. And you just have this incredible bio that has led you to so many different opportunities. But the aspect that I would like to take a look at is your background in movement and nutrition. So please start us off with how and why you got into the health and wellness field.
Absolutely. So for myself, I graduated a decade ago from human kinetics with a minor in bio and social science. And I started my degree in human kinetics because I had health issues my entire life growing up. So I had gut health issues from birth, and then a back injury at the age of 12. I stopped figure skating at the age of 12 because I had to go to physio for my knees. So there was just a lot. And as being a competitive athlete my whole life, there's a lot that obviously you have to do with health and physical health and nutrition in order to be an athlete. And there were so many things that came up for me on that journey that made me really want to study more about human potential and performance. And then I was in a fitness class, so like learned how to strength train and everything in grade 11 in high school, I think it was. And I knew at that moment, I asked my teacher, I said, how do you become a personal trainer? I said, I really like this. And he goes, oh, well, you could take this weekend course if you want. But like, if you want to be really good, like go and study human kinetics. So like you have the full understanding. And I was very blessed to have a teacher who created an exercise science class in my high school in grade 12 because she had studied human kinetics. She actually studied the same degree I did. I ended up going to study. So she just introduced me to this whole new world of the human body. And I always was in biology because I just think the human body is fascinating, but exercise science was very different. It was a whole different approach based on more movement and exercise versus just the biology of things. So thus I ended up in human kinetics. So I loved that. And as soon as I graduated, I thought I wanted to work with elderly population, because I do love seniors. And I think that, so many of them could live such a better quality of life, but they're kind of stuck in, I'm old, this is what my life's supposed to look like. And I just know it doesn't have to be like that. I met at the World Fitness Expo an 80-year-old who was more chiseled than I am and taught an exercise class every single day. So I knew age was a vicious rumor, but then I realized it wasn't fulfilling enough for me, so I wanted to expand. So I started working on more specifically with injuries, but then I knew that there was something still missing. So I had specialized in helping people with core performance, because if we don't protect the core, nothing else matters, because the nerves that come out of the core run into the arms and the legs. And if that's not protected, then the arms and legs won't function the same. So I specialized in that. I actually interned, I volunteered in my 4th year in the summer before, so that with a physio who was studying her second advanced doctorate in injuries, and she had done core and she was working on extremities now. So she gave me this huge, incredible basis. But when I had graduated and actually started working with people, there was still something that wasn't working. And that's when I ended up in nutrition school. And so studying holistic nutrition gave me, now I did do nutrition in university for nursing, for exercise science, but my applied diploma in nutrition is very specific. And I learned so much. And I partially ended up there because still I was unhealthy. I was more unhealthy after I graduated university from all the stress and the lifestyle and everything. So it was one, to heal me, but second, to really help my clients. And that's when the gut came in with helping people with exercise, because I would say contract your core, but they couldn't contract their core because their gut was so inflamed. I'd say relax your shoulders, but they couldn't relax their shoulders because they were trying to hold in their inflamed gut. So there was so much that nutrition went along with, even the gut and the gut health with the core, that would change their ability to exercise properly. So it actually came in that one of the first things that I would do with people, even if they came to me just for exercise, is we had to fix the gut first, so that their core could function properly, so that we could advance them in exercises. And as I would teach, and as I still teach, movement is something you earn. So you do have to start from the basis. You have to start from the fundamentals. And if you can't contract your core because your gut is bloated, then you have to start with what you're feeding yourself and how the gut's working. And that's where I ended up. And then I've taken it farther to work with people with acquired brain injuries. And even with them, it comes back to the gut. They need their core to protect their body, but their gut's messed up from the stress response, from the trauma. And so then even with them, even with movement and everything, we come back to gut first. So with the brain function, the movement, it all comes back to the gut. So it is our second brain. We absorb 70% of our nutrients through it. And it has been a game changer for me, healing my gut. And it has been for clients as well. So that's, I know it's a little bit of a long story, but that's kind of that's how I got here.
Heather, I love fellow trainers and nutritionists that focus on those foundationary techniques and that take the approach of, let's fix your gut health. Let's look at your stress response and see what's happening in the body, because, and talk about breathing, because that's going to be a big factor in stress response. I'm sure that, it's probably an area that you tackle as well. And then, that's going to be much more helpful in getting results quicker and in getting them done properly. So I think that's so great that is, that's your foundation.
And I love that you even talk about the breathing. So with the breathing, I found with people, I realized anyone who has gut issues and an inflamed gut and upset stomach and gastric gut, like digestion upset all the time, they don't breathe properly either. So they do very shallow breathing because, again, they're inflamed and their diaphragm's pushed up and now they're chest breathing. And so they're not getting the right oxygen. They don't know how to properly belly breathe or breathe through their whole diaphragm. And it's really hard to when the gut's inflamed. So even just trying to get people to belly breathe, if they've had digestive stress for so long, they can't even do that. And that, you could sit on the floor with people for a whole session working on that, depending where they're at.
Yeah. I know you did kind of mention it through there, but do you want to maybe just reiterate how, like, inflammation, just really break it down on how inflammation creates that, like, back pain?
So when our digestive system isn't functioning properly, there's like a sequence. So what goes in the stomach needs to get digested, and then it releases, and it has to be at a certain acidic level for it to trigger the next, right? So your enzymes in the bile to neutralize it, and then it goes into the gut where it will be further digested, broken down, and absorbed so that the nutrients will go straight into your bloodstream. That would be your normal process. But for most people, they have increased gastric emptying from smoking, stress, alcohol, having black coffee or alcohol after food or with food. And the food doesn't get digested in the stomach properly. It gets released too soon. It's too acidic. It doesn't trigger the next thing to release the bile and the enzymes. So now you have half digested food going into the digestive tract that's acidic, and the next things aren't coming into play. So now it's going into the colon and it's going to start to ferment, and now you have gas and you have this fermentation. And if you don't deal with that, then you end up with the dysbiosis, the overgrowth of the bad bacteria. And if you still don't deal with that, then you end up with candida. And candida is the massive overgrowth, but now you're also affected the lining and the tissue of your intestinal walls, which will impact what gets absorbed in your bloodstream. It means not just the nutrients, but undigested food particles go in there. Now, your body has memory cells and alarm cells. So the alarm cells will go off going, hey, this isn't supposed to be in the blood. It tells those, and then that memory cell remembers that for next time you eat it, and it will cause an inflammatory response. But it will send to the immunoglobulin cells like, hey guys, not supposed to be in here, inflammation response. And thus you start getting inflammation, and that can be through the entire body. So for some people, it might just be that gas bloating in the gut. But when you're starting to get that immune response, that's when the inflammation comes through the entire body. And that, for some people, before I went to nutrition school and understood, I thought I had fibromyalgia. So I thought that inflammation that caused me to feel like I was in a pressure chamber, and hurt to move my joints, hurt, like couldn't bend, like couldn't do any of the core work because I didn't have the range of motion because everything was stiff and hurt. And then the stomach was swollen out to Timbuktu. So when you have this inflammation in the body, it's going to impact the way that you move. It's going to impact the way that you feel. We also know that inflammation in the body is one of the precursors to disease. So it's a sign that your body's not functioning properly. And then when we have that inflammation in the gut specifically, now the impact of that is you can't properly activate your core. And so you have the core muscles aren't just the muscles on the front. So you have your deep transverse abdominis that goes all the way around and supports the entire spine like a brace. That's your Kegel. You hold your P, right? The activation of like Kegels to activate that muscle. And that's really hard to do when your stomach is swollen. And so when your gut's inflamed, you can't truly contract that properly. And that's the brace for your spine. So then what happens is your trunk flexors kick in. So people know in the lower back and their hip flexors, those will kick in, and inner thighs too will all kick in to stabilize your hips, to stabilize your core because the TA doesn't kick in. So now you have muscles kicking in that shouldn't be kicking in. So you're in spasm, your muscles are tight, your deepest core muscle can't activate properly, so your spine's not protected. Now you're putting more pressure on the discs and nerves. And for me, I had a disc injury. And so it was a non-negotiable to keep my weight at a certain level, so no extra weight. Make sure that my digestion was on point, so my food was on point, because anything that caused inflammation in my stomach also put pressure on my back. And that in turn put pressure on the nerves, so not only the sciatic nerves that run down the leg, but the nerves that run to your organs. So the nerves are going out the front and the back, right? So then it in turn affected my digestion even more. So it's a vicious cycle. So you really do need to mind the food that you're eating. And so just a simple tip for inflammation and to help if you're having digestive issues is food combining. So just do your carbohydrates separate from your proteins and your fats, because they digest differently and separately, and one more in the stomach and one more in the colon. So you want to separate them. And so that is one of the things for me that helped not have that inflammation in the gut, simply by just eating my carbs separate from my protein and my fats while I take digestive aids and work on healing that so that I could eat them all again together. But that inflammation will impact the nerves that run from your spine, your ability to contract your core, then other muscles kick in. Now you have all the wrong muscles kicking in, your back's sore, you can't stand up straight, you can't contract your core properly, your spine's not supported, now you have more nerve pressure and pain. And then who's motivated to go exercise when they feel like that?
Do you have, besides the food combining, do you have any other recommendations that that you want to talk about today that can help improve gut health, which will then in turn improve that core function?
Yeah, so obviously everyone knows we should really eat a whole food diet. So that's pretty plain and simple, but whole food is, you want to do your best to eat as much plant-based because that's live food that your body knows how to digest, and it's perfect the way it is. A cucumber is perfectly water balanced with all the minerals, just like your body is. So eating raw foods and eating a whole food diet, so an apple's an apple, a piece of fish is a fish. If it comes from a box, unless it's like a supplement or something, and you have to read the ingredients, just say no, right? Because you shouldn't have to. Apple, ingredient, apple, right? So that's number one, is just like really do your best to do as whole food as possible.
You basically
Mm-hmm.
have to do the outer
Perimeter.
perimeters at the grocery store and almost avoid most of the aisles.
So I don't grocery shop at a grocery store very often. For that reason, 90% of the stuff in there I'm not going to eat. Not going to touch unless it's like a fun weekend, guys. I'm not like a robot. I do treat myself, just so we're all clear, but I had to earn that. I had to, for 2 years, be very diligent, earn my health to be able to have those cheats. But yeah, I don't grocery shop often at grocery stores because I don't need to. I go into the produce section and I get what I need, and then maybe eggs, and even ordering food. I order mostly plant-based, whole foods, dairy, gluten-free. So just having that whole food diet, and just think, is it made by nature or is it made by man? Whole food, made by nature,
I love
made by
that.
man, not whole food. I think that's the easiest.
Yep, great
Yeah.
step.
So that's one. And then two is really with, so when you're working on your digestion, is in the beginning, you might need help. So it's okay to take probiotics and digestive enzymes. And so simple digestive enzyme that you can take or use without taking a supplement is a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So you can take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar mixed with water, and then take that with your meals. So I love making my own salad dressings with olive oil, apple cider vinegar, water, a little bit of honey if you want, salt and pepper, and Himalayan sea salt, of course. It's got all your minerals. And then that was my grandpa's recipe, and they ate that every single day on a freshly chopped salad with tons of parsley, because parsley is one of the most alkalizing foods that you can eat. And our body wants to be alkaline because we are in a disease state when we're acidic. So just having that apple cider vinegar will help with a digestive aid. So not even using like a digestive supplement, you can use apple cider vinegar. And then a probiotic. So for myself, when my gut was really unhealthy, eating fermented foods actually was stressful on my liver and caused a histamine reaction and made me itchy. So I know, like, some people will say, oh, eat fermented foods and just don't take probiotics. But I also know for some people that's not possible always. So I do say use a probiotic. I like HMF Forte because it's a human microflora strand, but I also like to regularly switch up my probiotics because there's different strands. So you can get probiotics for your urinary tract, you can get probiotics for your gut, but if you look at all the spectrums of different probiotics, there's tons of different actually strands of the probiotics. So I like to switch it up because you never know which one you actually need more of. So I do switch those regularly. So that's my second tip, is that digestive enzyme and that probiotic, just to help ease the digestive system. One more that will help with the digestion is don't eat till you're overfull. And I know that seems so simple, but it really is, you're overloading your digestive tract. And so for whatever calories you can't use right now or you can't digest, that get turned into excess calories and stored in your body. So you are, one, harming your body, but two, you're overloading the digestive tract. And then two, one, don't overload when you're eating, but two, make sure you go to the bathroom when you need to go to the bathroom. So I think a lot of people hold their bowel movements. And as a nutritionist, talking about fecal matter and bowel movements is very important because it's your excretory pathway. It's the way things are supposed to exit. When I entered nutrition school, I would eat something and it would come out the same way it went in. I absorbed no nutrients. I was losing all my hair. My doctor even checked me for cancer. Turns out I just needed to heal my gut. So, right? So make sure that you go to the bathroom when you need to go, because if you don't, you hold it, it ferments. 2, your sphincter and your peristalsis muscles will expand, and now you will hold larger fecal matter, and then you're more likely to end up constipated, and that fecal matter can be reabsorbed. So you want to not overload so that you are giving a break to your digestive system, so it only needs to break down what it needs to, and then make sure you're excreting when you need to excrete. And if you are not making 2 to 3 bowel movements a day, whatever goes in must come out. Transit time, 8 to 24 hours. So do a beet test, eat beets, see when your fecal matter is the color of a beet, and that will tell you your transit time. So if you're like, Heather, I make 3 bowel movements a day, no problem, but I'm still always gassy and bloating and I don't understand. And I don't eat too much, but perhaps you're not eating the right things. And so you hold in that bowel movement and it ferments and you get that gas and bloating. And it's because you're constipated. So you need more water, or you need more fiber, or you need more healthy oils. So there's a lot that goes into that. You might not overeat and your digestive system feels stressed and you feel constipated to excrete it, but it might be what you're actually taking in. So to be mindful of that. And if you make 3 bowel movements a day, if it takes you 3 days for it to actually leave, that's fermented. It's causing dysbiosis. You're reabsorbing the fecal matter. Your sphincter is expanding. That will make you start to be constipated all the time, and then harder to make bowel movements. So that is a huge component. You really want to mind your mind when you're eating. So put the spoon down. Use a smaller spoon, right? So that you are taking in smaller bites. You chew it, and then be mindful. So if you're eating, you're just eating. That took me so long to do. I still work on this because we're so addicted to productivity.
Yeah.
That like I'm allowed to eat and watch a show at the same time. That's my, half-hour break when I work. No, you just eat. So now I understand.
Eating and working at your desk. I know that that's a big one for a lot of people. And then they wonder too why they seem to have more like inflammatory reactions in the daytime, as opposed to then they say, I went on vacation and I was like socializing and we were like having meals together and I didn't really have any reactions, but I ate the same kind of stuff. And it's because your body's actually, you're giving it an opportunity to digest and to, you're slowing things down and the stress response and all of that, instead of
Exactly.
in front of a TV, or when you're doing other things, moving around, mums, right?
Eating on the go, right? Eating on the go. I remember my grandma would lecture me. She was like, you can't eat and drive. I'm like, it's my break. I got to get from one client to the next. And that was my lifestyle. And then I took an Ayurvedic class and he was like, absolutely not. When you eat something, your body chunks everything, right? Our body works in these memory cells. It chunks all experiences. So you're eating that apple, driving down the 401, you're super stressed, trying to rush to your next client. There's this going on. And then your body will chunk the emotion of when you eat that apple with that stress response. So next time, even when you're feeling happy, you eat that apple, your body goes, ooh, chunked memory stress response. So you really want to be mindful. Just eat when you're eating, right? And that's what you're saying. You don't get those responses maybe while you're away, but you're pausing, you're relaxing. But if you constantly do that, then yes, you are, your body's going to have that general response. So I made it that I became allergic to apples, but I used to love them, right? But then they started causing me an immune response. But it was really a stress response, my body going, ah! Right? So there's so many components, but those are a few that I think are so important with keeping the inflammation down in your gut.
Yeah.
so that your gut can function properly, so that you can keep your core contracted, so that when you do go and exercise, that your spine is protected, and then you can earn the movement of those complex exercises to gain the strength you want because you have the core support.
Wonderful, wonderful tips. You know, and I think, you know, no matter whether you're experiencing some sort of inflammation response or you don't even know that maybe that's happening, would you say probably over 90% of people have some sort of digestive issue, like just with the way that our, at least here where we live in North America and with our type of lifestyle, I don't think that it is a very small percentage of people that have like a fantastic, you know, operating digestive system.
Absolutely. So I have been working with clients for over a decade, one-on-one, and yeah, 90% of them. And when you were talking there, it even made me think about a client who had massive digestive issues, and she was had shoulder issues and had been getting assistance for her shoulder for so long. You know what we needed to fix was we had to fix her gut.
Yeah.
And fix her breathing so that she was diaphragm breathing, but we had to fix the gut first so that she could relax her shoulders so her shoulders could sit properly, and then that would get rid of the nerve impingement and the rotator cuff syndrome because she wasn't up here because her digestion system wasn't like this. So then she could relax, set her shoulders back and down, actually fully exhale, contract the core. So like it goes far beyond just, you know, supporting the core, but that digestive tract, it will impact the rest of the way you move.
Amazing. Yeah, how everything's so connected. So
Yeah.
where can people follow you or find you if they want to learn more, and even learn more about, you know, some of the other things that you offer?
Yes, so my company is called Own It Empire. So I am the founder and creative director, and that is my website and my social media links. So you can search that, Own It Empire, and my personal profile, Facebook, of course, Heather Chapman. And you can go ahead and book a free consultation or strategic advisory right through my website or social media links. And right on the Own It Empire website on the homepage, you will find my freebie. So that is the Own Your Goal worksheet, where I help people actually get in tune with their calling and actually turn their purpose into the reality and into a goal and start taking action right away.
That's great. And is that is part of your free gift as well, right? Okay.
So I'm going to give that as well with for anyone who actually partakes in this. They will get a full wellness guide for free from me, which has a 2-day full juice cleanse to cleanse all excretory pathways designed by myself. Full workouts from intermediate to advanced with full descriptions with stretches, therapeutic stretches and all. It also has a 7-day raw vegan meal plan.
Oh, amazing. That's so much great content. So all of that will be in the show notes. The links to find you, Heather, will also be there. And thank you so much for being here. It was really informative. You know, just I think everyone should just start, you know, implementing all of those tips that you talked about, because no matter if you think you know that there's something there or not, they can benefit anyone and everyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you guys for owning your health, because it all starts with the gut.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.